Hello everyone. Welcome to True Crime Tales with Cosette. Today I will recount a true crime tale from Malta. I chose a peculiar murder that happened in 1934 as the subject for my first story. So sit back, while I tell you the chilling tale of how poor Rozi Camilleri lost her life. Rozi Camilleri was a young married woman, who was murdered by an older woman named Paula Camilleri. The reason why the two shared their last name is that they were related by marriage. In fact, Paula was Rozi's mother-in-law. Or should I say monster-in-law? Women may commit murder for various reasons, but in this case, the motive was very unusual. Why did a woman come to kill her son's wife? People attested that these two women had disagreements, but was the real motive more sinister? The stereotype of the overbearing mother-in-law, who is highly critical and demanding, seemed to fit Paula to a T. Did the mother's jealousy of her son's wife lead to this tragedy unique in Malta's criminal history? Rozi Camilleri had been married for 9 months to a 24-year-old woman, named Rozi. Rozi was a young man from Rabat, who, once he got married, went to live not far from his mother's house, in Trik Misra Safara, where he left some goats. Rozi made his living selling milk early in the morning. Being the diligent man he was, 6 months into his marriage, he felt it would be better to work in the field or in construction. To continue earning some extra money, Rozi started selling the milk herself. On the 18th of July 1934, Rozi was working in a field which belonged to his wife's relatives. At around 11:30, the time when his wife used to bring him lunch, he headed to Rozi's mother's farm and told her he was going to the house because his wife did not show up. As he approached the house, Rozi met 2 women who told him it would be better to go and get his wife away from his mother because she was going to kill her. When he heard this, Rozi rushed home to see what was going on. When he arrived at his mother's house, Rozi called his wife, and when he saw that there was no answer, he kept going to the room where they kept the animals. Afterwards, he went to the animal pen, where he found his wife dead. It was later established that Rozi died of suffocation when her head was immersed in manure. Yes, you heard that right. Poor Rozi took her last breath in animal excrement. From there, Rozi went straight to the local police station where he told the police that his mother had killed his wife. The police went to the crime scene and questioned Paula. But when she was asked by the police what had happened in the animal pen, Paula denied that she had argued with Rozi and said that on that day, she didn't feel well, and spent a lot of time in bed. From the investigation carried out by the police, it became known that on the day of the crime, at around 10 o'clock in the morning, some neighbors heard Rozi screaming in pain. They also overheard a bucket falling to the ground. That's when some people went to knock on Paula's door, but no one answered. There was also a boy, who climbed up on the roof to look into Paula's yard. The relatives of the deceased, as well as her husband, stated that Paula was always having issues with Rozi, and that Rozi would tell his wife that if his mother were to assault her, she had to defend herself by all means possible. Apart from this, Rozi and Rozi repeatedly complained that Paula used to steal their goats' milk and animal feed. Although Paula kept denying that she was involved in this crime in any way, everything pointed to the contrary. Among the evidence were the scratches that Paula had on her face, which she said were done with a comb while she was combing her hair. With this evidence, the police charged Paula with the murder. The trial began on the 23rd of October 1934. Paula Camilleri had the best defense lawyers she could have, Carmelo Mifsud Bonacci and Joseph Flores. The prosecutor for the case was Joseph Rhino. Among the prosecution's witnesses were the doctors who performed the autopsy, who stated that the victim had 21 scratches and other wounds. The doctors said that these were caused during a struggle. Amongst these were several witnesses who had heard the victim's screams and noise at the time of the murder. Despite this evidence, the verdict was not unanimous. Paula was found guilty with a verdict of 8-1. After this verdict, the court condemned Paula Camilleri to life in prison. A year after this conviction, Giuseppe Camilleri, Paula's husband, was approached by a certain Filippo Saila, who hinted that if he paid some money, Paula would receive a pardon. Giuseppe accepted this proposal. Saila introduced him to Carmelo Fenech, who worked at the governor's palace. But after the first meeting between Fenech and Camilleri, the latter was asked to deposit a payment of £200 in the Malta government savings bank. Later, the three men involved in this matter went to Tunis, where they had to meet the British consul. There, Giuseppe was led to believe that upon his return to Malta, his wife would be released. But this pardon did not happen, and Giuseppe was asked to pay another £200. Later, Carmenu was also approached. However, he was warned not to speak about this pardon, not even with his father. Carmenu promised to do this while paying another sum of money. In total, Carmenu and his father had paid £800 for Paula's freedom. But soon after, Saila and Fenech fled the country, and it became clear that this was just a scam. The tragedy did not end there. Some years after the conviction, Paula fell ill. After a long time in the hospital, she was taken to the poorhouse, present-day St. Vincent de Paul, where it can be said that she was forgotten. The 18th of June 1948 issue of the Bulletin referenced this woman who was still considered a prisoner. The same newspaper also mentioned that her son Carmenu had died, and her other son was fighting for her release. And that's the end of the first of many true crime tales with Cosette. The main source of information for this case is Edward Attard's book Delitif Malta. I'm planning many more videos, so if you enjoyed this one, like it and subscribe. Have you ever heard of a similar case before? Leave a comment and let me know. Until next time, ciao.